is everybody?
Good, how are you?
Good. You want this guy a little closer? There you go.
He's just going to put it in his pocket.
There you go.
So does Sheriff Mike finding out turn out to be the harbinger?
What do you mean?
I mean, he finds out, and now the show's gone. So is that...
It's kind of like one of those shows with the whole will they, won't they, and then they do, and it's like, oh, it's not like Moonlighting. You know, that's an interesting question because he is the last one. So you think to yourself, okay, once he's there, then where do you go from there? I don't know if it was so much a harbinger as it was a necessary component to the storytelling based on where we wanted things to go, so we can tell the complete story the way that we wanted to. I think that there are few things worse than an audience investing in a show and watching 40 hours, 50 hours of their favorite show, and then it just gets cut off, and then all of that investment feels wasted in some ways, especially if you're looking for a resolution in the storytelling. So Chris wisely understood that the odds are probably stacked against us for a season 5, so let's shoot season 4 as if it could be the end, and still leave back doors in case it's not, which they're there without getting into any spoilers or anything. But I think it's a satisfying conclusion. I think it feels better to be able to get to the end of the book and close the book than get to the end of the book and find the last 20 pages ripped out. So, you know, I feel like it's the most respectful thing you can do for the audience. Listen, none of us want it to be done. And I'm not convinced we are completely done. I think there are some interesting opportunities with this world that's been created that could easily morph into some other projects. So we'll see.
And then from the actor standpoint, is it good to know, or do you kind of wish that dynamic stayed a little bit longer?
Well, if I was given the choice between knowing or getting to the end of this season and then having to wait to find out, I'm glad we know. I think knowledge is always, in most cases, I'd rather know than be ignorant of something. I ain't happy about it. You know what I mean? I think there's more storytelling here, and I'm disappointed, but not in a. I'm not devastatingly disappointed, but I am disappointed that this particular chapter seems to have come to a close. But I think, you know, if the audience is there, and which I feel like it is, there are other opportunities that can manifest. So we'll have to wait and see. Nobody wants to talk about anything until it's like a thing. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Something that you're aware of. You see it, it's like, oh, sure, I know what that is. Now I can.
Persona?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, I think there's some crossover there for sure. My son tells me that a lot. He'll be like, "Dude, you sound just like Sheriff Mike right now." I'm like, "Boy, go to your room." I think any character that you're playing to this degree for this long, there's some bleeding over. I think Mike probably represents me completely untethered. If I really felt like I could get away with anything, which Mike kind of lets me do. I can say things on that show I'd never be able to say in other scenarios. So I love the character. Honestly, I would play Mike for the rest of my life if I could.
He was just floating.
It's the best. I'm gonna miss it. I'm gonna miss him. I'm gonna miss it. But hopefully not too long. But you can't ever bank on a maybe. So you have to just look at it for what it is. And right now, it's a story that has an ending, and I like how it ends. Frankly, I think the audience is really going to appreciate how we wrap things up. And I think ultimately everybody's going to come away satisfied, maybe saddened, but all things must come to a close. All things. So if it it was either going to be painful now, or painful a year from now, or painful 2 years from now. When you love something, you never want to let it go.
Did you always know that Mike would be one of the last ones to find out he was an alien, or is that something that you just waited every season to be like, is it going to be this season?
I figured he'd be one of the last ones. Character-wise, it wouldn't have made a lot of sense before this season that if Mike would have found out Harry was an alien, that he would have kept it a secret. I think he probably would have arrested him and held him in a cell until he changed, and then called Dateline and be like, I caught a fucking alien, you guys, get your ass out here right now. I'm going to be famous. Do you hear that, Cletus? We're going to be famous. You know what I mean? I think you know. I think it made sense that he was the last one to, and it created a nice push and pull with him and Deputy Liv, with her being a staunch believer and him being very skeptical. Although I think you start, falling into the realm of implausibility if you get, when you start looking at all of these things that are happening in town. You can't keep coming up with excuses for this stuff. Eventually, you have to start putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And even if it's being put together in a way that you would never expect, eventually your investigation is going to take you to that outcome. So it could only be a secret for so long before Mike, I think. But then we had our minds raced. So I think we would have had him then. I think I called him a werewolf or something. You werewolf motherfucker or something like that. But yeah, I think him finding out at the end makes the most sense. Yeah, I love her. I wish she was here now. We click. Sometimes you meet someone that we understand each other's humor and have such tremendous respect for one another. That's how I can get away with saying all these mean things to her, because she knows that when we all cut, I'm like, I am so fucking sorry. You know what I mean? But I think that understanding that she knows I love her to death and we respect each other and need each other, that we just we make it work. Yeah. Anything else?
The show does have these nice comparative dynamics.
Yeah, and I think it's fun mixing it up too. I think partnering with Liz for the majority of the show, obviously that relationship is one that works. But then I also enjoy time when you'd see Sheriff Mike with the mayor. I would tell Chris sometimes, who comes from Family Guy, I would say to him, I feel like Mike and the mayor are kind of like Stewie and Brian. You know what I mean? Like, you throw them together, you didn't necessarily see how that would work before, but once you start putting them together, you realize, oh, these two can be little travel mates with one another. And I kind of feel that way with Levi. I love all aspects of the show. It's really hard to. The only thing I would change is like winters in Vancouver. I don't know if you've ever had a winter in Vancouver, but they're wet and cold and gray and boring, and like it's dark at 4:15 in the afternoon, and it is just a miserable motherfucking place for a few months out of the year. But it's still a beautiful city, great people. So I probably shouldn't talk so much shit about it, but people are gonna be like, that fucking asshole just come up here and like use our country to make a show, and now he's talking shit about it. I'm glad they got canceled. I'm kidding.
How do you quickly find yourself not invited back to
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? I get to the border and like, wait a minute, and they like are flipping through some pages and they get to my picture and they're like, yeah, no, buddy, we heard that shit you were talking about cold, wet, dreary Vancouver getting dark at 4:15. How about that?
Perfect.
You got the right.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys. Be well.
You too.